There was once a man who believed discipline was impossible until ancient warriors taught him the truth. This is the story of how one ordinary man awakened the warrior within. Title of the story is The Lost Warrior. James lived a life many of us know too well. Days that looked the same, mornings that felt heavy, dreams that felt distant. He wasn't weak. He wasn't broken. He was simply disconnected from his true strength. Inside him, a warrior slept, but he had forgotten how to wake him. Every morning was a battle he didn't prepare for. He woke up tired, scrolled his phone, dragged himself to work, handled stress, noise, and expectations. A cycle he never chose, but one he had surrendered to. Silently, life was passing him by. One night, something unusual happened, as if destiny tried one last time to shake him awake. James' eyes fell upon an old, forgotten book. Its cover cracked, its pages worn, as though it had traveled through centuries just to reach him. He brushed the dust away and opened it. Inside, a line struck him like a blade of truth. When you realize that nothing outside of you can defeat you, you become unstoppable. His breath froze. He turned another page. Musashi whispered across time, "Do not live with half your heart." And then, on the next page, Sun Tzu's voice followed, "The warrior who conquers himself has already conquered the world." In that moment, the noise of life faded. The room became still. It felt as if the ancient masters themselves stood around him, silently, powerfully reminding him of who he truly was. A forgotten fire reignited in his chest, a fire he thought he had lost, a fire that had been waiting for this exact moment. For the first time in years, James didn't feel small. He didn't feel lost. He felt chosen. Chosen to rise. Chosen to fight. Chosen to become the warrior he was meant to be. James closed the book slowly. For the first time in years, he felt clarity. He whispered to himself, "I will rebuild myself. Not tomorrow, not someday, now." He didn't wait for motivation. He made a decision, the kind of decision that rewrites a life. James knew the path wouldn't change overnight. So he followed the Musashi's 1% rule. He changed 1% every day. He woke up earlier, read a few pages, practiced skills, journaled his thoughts, broke bad habits piece by piece, tiny habits, small victories. But over time, they formed the armor of a true warrior. Musashi himself would have nodded in approval. Sun Tzu taught him something deeper. The real battle happens within. James stopped fighting the world. He started studying himself. He cleaned his environment, removed distractions, designed routines like a general preparing for war. He planned with purpose, acted with intention, and for the first time, he began winning the battles no one else could see. There were days he felt tired, days he felt unmotivated, days life tested him. But instead of asking, "How do I feel?" he asked, "What would a warrior do?" A warrior trains in the rain. A warrior shows up when it's hard. A warrior chooses discipline over excuses. So did James. Day by day, his mind became steel. 6 months passed. The man who once felt lost now walked with purpose. He grew stronger, calmer, sharper. He earned respect. Opportunities found him. His confidence, quiet, powerful, returned. People asked him, "What changed?" James just smiled and said, "I just rejected the comfort and started living by a warrior's code. Inside you, there is a warrior too. Not a warrior of swords or battles, but a warrior of discipline, of intention, of purpose." Musashi mastered skill. Sun Tzu mastered strategy. And you must master yourself. Trends fade, motivation fades, but a warrior's discipline lasts forever. Wake the warrior within you. Your journey begins now.